Blimey, Charlie, we've got a fantastic half dozen movie suggestions for you for the weekend, because Van Connor joins us now with his three. I make history with three of my own. He pays no money, but he takes a choice. Van Connor, one of the country's top film critics. Good morning, Van. How's your week been? Have you seen any goodies this week?
Oh, hello, Mr. Ross. My pleasure as always. I did get to see Death of the Unicorn this week. That's going to be a banger when it's out next week.
Is that like a kid's animation from Unicorn Land, or is it a metaphor for something?
No, it's this really dark horror comedy.
Oh, brilliant.
That's very much a sort of Eat the Rich type, Triangle of Sadness type satire. Very good. Paul Rudd and Richard E. Grant are excellent in it.
I'll be watching out for that one. Then let's start with your first recommendation, and it's a rather fine offering. From mentioning a horror film with a unicorn in the title, we have now got a full-on, terrifying, and I think quite important horror film.
We have indeed. So from 2017, it's Jordan Peele's debut feature film. It's Get Out, starring Daniel Kaluuya and Bradley Whitford and Alison Williams. This is on tonight on BBC One at 20 to midnight, 11:40 in the old money. So this is, Daniel Kaluuya is the young African-American man who journeys home with his girlfriend to meet her family for the first time. So black boyfriend, white girlfriend. It's very much a guess who's coming to dinner scenario. However, it's kind of the other way around. They're kind of overcompensatingly nice. But all is not quite as appears to be. And our lead starts to suspect that there might be something, sinister brewing under the surface of, his girlfriend's world. This is one of the all-timers. I think it's certainly one of the best debut horror movies ever. You must have loved this when you saw it, I'm sure.
Genuinely creeped me out. The performances are amazing, and it genuinely creeped me out in a way that years before, when I first, as a kid, I'd seen The Wicker Man on TV. That really creeped me out. And you can't kind of say, I mean, the setup's very scary, and it just is, it's the tone and atmosphere of the film, and you're thinking, these people are like automatons, or they're like the kind of, the Stepford Wives, only it's all of them. Yes. And by the way, they've got no conscience.
There is that, yeah. And there's some great iconography in there as well, particularly with the sunken place, which I didn't realise, I don't think anyone really, they kept it quite quiet, that they have now commemorated in Leicester Square forever with a statue of Daniel Kaluuya in the sunken place. So you can see that in the real world, but it can't top the film, obviously. Like I say, you can see this tonight, 11:40 on BBC One. Got a clip for you. So this is Daniel Kaluuya and Bradley Whitford and Alison Williams in Get Out.
So how long has this been going on, this thing? How long?
4 months.
4 months?
5 months, actually.
She's right. I'm wrong.
Attaboy. Better get used to saying that.
Please, I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. She's right. I'm wrong. See?
Does he have an off button? This is exhausting.
I know, and I want to give you a tour.
Can you, unpack first?
You want to unpack? Before the tour?
Oh dear, even there I've got the waves of paranoia. Now, my first recommendation is a probably lesser known Kevin Costner film called 3 Days to Kill from 2013-14, and I think it's quite easy to look at modern Hollywood stars and think they're this generation's answer to, like George Clooney, you could argue, was for a while our Cary Grant, you could argue. Certainly, certainly we know that Jason Statham might be regarded as being, say, the Sly Stallone or the Bruce Willis or whatever of his generation. And I think that Kevin Costner is kind of like the Jimmy Stewart of our generation, because he often plays dignified, upright men with a conscience who go against what the public believe. He's also somebody, as with Jimmy Stewart's westerns, he could be brutally violent, and also there's a touch of paranoia about him sometimes in films like this, or in the serial killer film he made, where he was a serial killer, Mr. Brooks, in the way that James Stewart in Vertigo is quite obviously, an obsessive by the time he's recovered and seen the setup for the film. And this film is interesting because in the shell of a nut, Kevin Costner's a top CIA operative, of course he is. Then on the trailer somebody called The Wolf, an arms dealer who's very evil, of course he is. Something goes horribly wrong. One of Kevin Costner's team members gets killed. She was pretending to be a chambermaid and somebody spotted her. And around that time, Kevin Costner is given the bad news that he's got some terminal cancer, kind of dreadful racking cough, which completely diminishes powers of, concentration, but also means that he'll be dead within, not 3 days, but a few days. He takes a revolutionary treatment to try and track down, to cure himself, to track down this guy, the Wolf. And I just thought it was an interesting not a major film. It made money, doubled its cost, I think, at the box office. It got made about 60 million, cost 28 million. But I just think it was interesting at that time because I don't think, I mean, he didn't have too many hits, really, did he? After Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves for about 2 decades, I think.
Well, I think this was an attempt, I think, to rebrand Costner, to give him a sort of a reboot of sorts, to basically aim him more at the Liam Neeson crowd. You know, the sort of upper middle-aged actioner that's sort of taken nicely filled, and that Colin Firth had kind of had to an extent with Kingsman. And there's an attempt here to do that with Costner under the auspices of a Luc Besson movie as well. It's produced by Luc Besson, I believe, and directed by McG.
Oh, that's right. And some of the, I mean, you know, it's got that kind of flashy neon light feel to it, that surface sheen, which is very important to his films. So that's on 9 p.m. tonight, 9 o'clock tonight, on Legend, not Legend Movies, Legend, which is also Freeview. 3 Days to Kill from 2013. Here's a chunk of the trailer, very intense.
I don't want to spend the rest of my life killing for you.
You're the best agent for this job, Ethan. We need you.
I just want to spend a little more time with my daughter and my wife.
Why did you leave me and Mom?
There's no easy answer.
I was going to ask you to look after Zoe while I go to London for work.
I can handle it.
You have to make me a promise. Are you done? Are you really done working for them?
What's happening to me?
You're sick, Ethan. But I could offer you an experimental drug that might just give you your life back.
So I buy back my life by killing for you.
That's the job. You have 3 days to kill.
See, I quite like that. It's the kind of the cheesier side of a setup, but it's, you know, not a bad old film. Is my first recommendation. What's your next one? And your next one? Well, I know, you told me before. I know what this is. A cracker. We may have mentioned this one before as well, possibly.
Oh, we've definitely mentioned this before, Paul. It's one of my favourites. I always underestimate how much I love this movie, and yet whenever it's on, I will revisit it. Like every single time we've discussed this movie, I have actually wound up rewatching it. So it's Ridley Scott's 2015 adaptation of Andy Weir's novel The Martian, starring Matt Damon. And you'll remember, obviously everyone will remember the poster, which was Matt Damon's face in the space helmet and the words "Bring him home." Kicking off the obvious meme of how much money has the American government spent in movies to bring Matt Damon home in some form or other, be it like Saving Private Ryan or The Martian, etc. In this one, he is Mark Watney, a botanist in, I think he's about 15, 20 years in the future, who is accidentally left behind on Mars when he is presumed dead during an evacuation.
It's a bit like a science fiction, scarier version of Kevin being left home alone, isn't it? He's forgotten, basically.
It's Home Alone, it's Castaway, but it's Mars. In fact, Castaway might be the closest thing. Imagine Castaway on Mars. And it is this botanist stuck on his own for what could be several years, you know, at least, forced to make his way, you know, to try and survive on his own. At one point, literally trying to fertilize potatoes using his own feces. It's that kind of a movie. It's also a very funny movie.
You might want to finish the takeaway before you start watching this one, possibly, just for that one bit.
Yeah, don't eat any tots, any tater tots or anything while you're watching this. Definitely not. But do strap on in for some good laughs and a hell of a disco soundtrack. Also, one of my favourite uses of David Bowie's Starman in any movie ever, I think.
And in fact, Starman's on one of the Freeview channels this week. I almost went for that, the Jeff Bridges film from 1980.
I think I saw it on Saturday afternoon, yeah.
But he's gone for the brilliant The Martian, and you've got a clip for us, I think, Van.
I have indeed. So, The Martian. This is Matt Damon and co. basically assessing the situation in The Martian. This is Matt Damon assessing just roughly how doomed he is.
Right. Let's do the math. Our service mission here was supposed to last 31 souls. For redundancy, they sent 68 souls worth of food. That's for 6 people. So for just me, that's going to last 300 souls, which I figure I can stretch to 400 if I ration. So I got to figure out a way to grow 3 years worth of food here on a planet where nothing grows. Luckily, I'm a botanist. Mars will come to fear my botany powers.
I mean, he's great in this, isn't it? It's pretty much a one-man show for extended periods of the film, although I can never hear his name. I wonder what he made of the whole Team America Matt Damon phenomenon.
Oh, he loves it.
Oh,
well, he
man.
did love it. He did love it for a while. And I think it wore him down because it was apparently the thing that he got most recognised for.
Yeah, everybody can shout that at him. I can barely
Exactly.
say his name without impersonating it. Now, my second recommendation is, in many ways, a disappointment and a failure. It's the Wachowski films, and they made the Matrix trilogy, but they made Cloud Atlas, which wasn't great, and they made a Sense8, a baffling TV series I think Netflix paid a fortune for. This is Jupiter Ascending, which looks brilliant at times, and it's about, basically, think of a female Luke Skywalker that they want to right the wrongs in the known and unknown universe, and that's really kind of the setup. But the cast is amazing. Channing Tatum's in it. Eddie Redmayne's in it, eating the scenery. And I think this was the year he got the Oscar for playing Stephen Hawkins, and he got the Razzie for this film because it was just so over the top. And it's also got a kind of, I thought, kind of subtext of like Christianity or the Messiah arriving, only the Messiah's, it's a mess of a film, but it is, if you like The Matrix, it's worth watching, and it's worth watching because of the scale of the spectacle and the cost of this film. Goodness alone, eye-watering it must have been. So it's on 6:30, it's on 5-star, tomorrow afternoon, evening, 6:30pm, it's Jupiter Ascending from 2015, and here is the almost as baffling as the film trailer.
You're the perfect hunting machine. Fearless. Relentless. You've been searching for one thing your whole life. And she's down there.
Make sure this is the right one.
It's her.
Good. Kill her.
Who are you?
I'm here to help you.
It can be difficult for people from underdeveloped worlds to hear that their planet is not the only inhabited planet.
Your Majesty, Kane was the best soldier I ever went into battle with.
If she's what you say she is, we're not getting off this planet without a fight.
And of course, one of the voices there was somebody I forgot to mention, who's in it, Sean Bean. They all take it incredibly seriously, and I suppose you never know what's going to take over at the box office. I don't know if this one was necessarily a huge disaster, but it was a big disappointment, I think, when it came out, Van.
Oh, no, I think this bombed. If memory serves, this bombed. And don't get it wrong, it deserved to, but it did have its moments of joy. Like, there are some absolutely unhinged moments from Eddie Redmayne in this, particularly his delivery of, I create life and I destroy it. You know, I create life and I destroy it. It's a bonkers performance.
Yeah.
Really.
From a nonsense science fiction film to a very good, very gritty science fiction film based on a novel by P.D. James. Now, Dame P.D. James. She created the Adam Dalgleish detective series. She wrote one science fiction book, and it's called Children of Men, and it's set in the near-ish future. And it's when women suddenly, all of them, all over the world, stop falling pregnant and having babies. So the human race is in trouble and kind of on the way out with a vengeance. And then Clive Owen's character, and he's in this as well, we're a lot of long overcoats, a lot of grey skies in this, but we've messed up the environment, and maybe that's affecting why women can't fall pregnant. And he hears about the woman, or he's asked to track down a woman who is heavily pregnant. This is the first pregnancy for decades. Michael Caine's in it as well. Some of the action sequences, it's not an action film as such, but some of the action sequences and the cat and mouse of it all are very exciting indeed. And it's also that rare thing for me, it's a kind of film that's, it earns its uplifting ending, if that makes sense. It's not over the top particularly, you just kind of get this, without giving too much away, that actually human beings can somehow muddle through, which I think was pretty much P.D. James's view of things. You must have seen this one, because, I mean, Michael Caine is funny in this, got Grace in this, although he's got the worst spinal tap, heavy metal, long hair wig you'll have ever seen in the movies for a major star.
Oh, it's a bonkers one, isn't it? I really love this movie, but as you point out, it is quite bleak. Yeah. This is definitely not one you're going to watch if you're looking for a cheerful, upbeat evening. But oh my God, what a film! Okay, and it's one of those that I've revisited several times. Yeah. It's never less than awesome.
It's on Sunday night, 9:30pm on BBC One. It's Children of Men from, I think, 2016. And it's directed by Alfonso Cuarón, who also went on to direct Gravity and other films. Here's a chunk of the trailer.
I can't really remember when I last had any hope. And I certainly can't remember when anyone else did either. Because really, since women stopped being able to have babies, what's left to hope for?
The world was stunned today by the death of Diego Ricardo, the youngest person on the planet, the youngest person on Earth, was 18 years, 4 months, 20 days, 16 hours and 8 minutes old.
The ultimate mystery. Why are women infertile? Some say it's genetic experiments, pollution. Why do you think we can't make babies anymore?
Doesn't matter. It's all over in 50 years. It's too late.
Move along! Move along! In fact, it was like the world's baby, the young 18-year-old we heard being spoken about there, because, of course, he was the youngest person on Earth, because he was the last person born for 18 years. So what's your final recommendation for us, Van, please? An interesting mix this week we've got, I think.
Yeah, and sticking with the science fiction, because I think we've had four, possibly 5 science fiction films out of our 6 this week. So I'll close on an old school banger from 1990, and the great Paul Verhoeven. It's his adaptation of Philip K. Dick's novel, We Can Remember It For You Wholesale, realised for the screen as Total Recall, starring none other than Arnold Schwarzenegger. And this is the one where he goes to Mars. He's the mild-mannered construction worker who simply wants a virtual holiday installing in his head.
Or is he? Or is he?
Or is
yes.
he? Because they soon discover that actually someone's been in his head before, and he may have had things erased, particularly relating to Mars. And, oh yeah, there are people trying to kill him. So it's quite a good old-school science fiction spy.
Very funny at times as well, of course, isn't it? With I remember the robo-cabbie, who comes with rather spectacular. That kind of stuff is very funny in this, the kind of the dystopian version of a consumer future.
Oh yeah, because like the Johnny Cab, for instance, that's the holographic doctor from Star Trek Voyager, I think, who's the Johnny Cab. That's Robert Picardo, who's the Johnny Cab. But some great stuff like that. The prosthetic head when he tries to get through border security on Mars is a favourite of mine when I was a kid as well. Just a great movie all round. Some fantastic one-liners. Scenery-chewing villains from Michael Ironside and Ronnie Cox. Just a great Rachel Ticotin as the love interest as well. And, of course, an all-timer Sharon Stone performance. Yeah. This is her in Femme Fatale. Spandex femme fatale form.
With the classic late 80s, early 90s crunch perm.
Yes, very much that. Also, if you do get the chance ever to check this out, you can go on YouTube and look for this. Arnold Schwarzenegger's DVD commentary for this movie is hilarious. It is a work of comedic genius. He doesn't mean it to be, but it is, and there is a truncated version, about a 4-minute version of it on YouTube that is absolutely worth checking out after you've seen the movie. But you can see this on Sunday night on the Paramount channel at 9:00. If you have seen it before, then it's odds are it's one that you revisit pretty often. If you haven't seen it, do check this out, because it's something everyone should see at least once. You've got to be a fan, I'm sure, Paul.
Oh, I love this film. I've seen it James loved it, and I've seen it dozens of times. There's one scene when one of the Martian citizens reveals he's got a kind of mutant octopus-type arm, which is just a brilliant effect. It just works brilliant in this film. Yeah, fantastic stuff there.
Rick and Morty have ruined that now with the open your mind thing. But yeah.
And now you've got a clip for us, I understand, as well.
I have indeed, so I've got a clip for you. So this is Arnold Schwarzenegger trying to grapple with the reality of Total Recall.
All right. Let's say you're telling the truth and this is all a dream. Then I could pull this trigger and it won't matter.
Doug, don't.
It won't make the slightest difference to me, Doug. But the consequences to you would be devastating. In your mind, I'll be dead, and with no one to guide you out, you'll be stuck in permanent psychosis.
Doug, let Dr. Edgemore help you.
The walls of reality will come crashing down. 1 minute, you'll be the savior of the rebel cause, and the next thing you know, you'll be Cohagen's bosom buddy. You'll even have fantasies about alien civilizations, as you requested, but in the end, back on Earth, you'll be lobotomized. So get a grip on yourself, Doug, and put down that gun.
That's telling him. Fantastic selections from Van Connor this week. Now, Van is off-screen dropping this morning, your podcast.
It is indeed. We're back. We've got some great movies to talk about, including, of course, a new Jason Statham movie. So I have to have a show out the week there's a new Statham movie, naturally.
Get hold of a copy of Off-Screen. I think it drops around 8 o'clock this morning for all good podcast providers. And huge thanks to Van Connor. He's back with us next Friday, if not before, with his Freeview film recommendations for the weekend. But for the time being, put away the remote control. That's a wrap.